Does it still make sense for people to buy a home in today's day and age? I mean, we've got a lot of Gen Z, millennials that are out there probably questioning this more than anything. We're gonna see a huge change in stats over the next decade. And having bought thousands of homes myself, I wanted to provide an answer to this question, which is, should you actually focus on buying a house? And today I'm gonna be featuring some stats and information from Stanley Thomas's book, The Millionaire Next Door. He presents some fascinating information on whether a person should or shouldn't actually own a home.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
Does it even make sense for people to own a home, right? I mean, look at millennials, look at Gen Z. They're so uninterested in home ownership these days. In fact, 70% of America owns their own home versus rents. And yet we're, over the next decade, gonna see that number drop by more than 10%. It's substantial. The world is changing right now. And a lot of people wanna know, is it still valid? Like, what are really the benefits of owning a home? Wouldn't it be better to stay mobile and just rent? There was a book that got written that I want to highlight today. Stanley Thomas wrote this book, The Millionaire Next Door. And what he did is he studied millionaires in America. The book came out in the 90s. And basically he came out with some startling facts of the lifestyle and choices people made to become millionaires. And I thought, you know what, for today's video, if we're really going to explore, should I buy a house or not? I think some of the information and stats that Stanley has in this book are going to be really useful for you. Let's check them out. So I've got up here on the board some of the statistics that come from Millionaire Next Door. I do recommend this book. I think it's a fantastic read. I will tell you that it errs on the side of conservatism. It's all about delaying gratification. It's all about being a really good saver. In fact, he would probably be really good friends with Dave Ramsey. He and Dave Ramsey, there may be twins separated at birth that we should like reunite. I'm sure they love each other's books. Here's the first thing that Stanley says. He says, did you know that half of millionaires, half, lived in the same house for at least 20 or more years? Now, that was a different time and age, but I'm telling you right now, people switch houses just as frequently as they're actually switching jobs. And this is important to note for a couple of reasons. The first one is, let me show you this, this is crazy. Look at what real estate has done. This is US Census Bureau from 1963 to 2019. Is there a trend that you can see here on this graph? I mean, other than 2008, definitely looking like Great Depression if we went that far back, real estate goes up in value. So people that get into home ownership, if you actually normalize this since 1963, you're looking at an average growth. If you own a home, you're looking at a growth of 4.58% year over year over year over year. Round it up to 5%, and it's like if I have a $200,000 house, and I'm growing 5% this year, 5% next year, 5%. If I do that for 5 years, that's 25%. That's gonna compound to probably $60,000 or $70,000 of increased value. So my home just in 5 years went from a $200,000 value to, let's call it a $260,000 value. Dude, you just like, on your balance sheet of life, you got $60,000 richer because you owned a home versus rent. So he's definitely making, I think, a really important point here in the fact that millionaires, what half of them share in common, dude, is they bought a home and they did it early enough to actually have lived in that same house for 20 years. But we learned something else in the fact that they haven't upgraded their lifestyle in 20 years. These people, these millionaires, I call them the conservative millionaires, they are content not keeping up with the Joneses. They are living a financially more conservative lifestyle, and it's why they have money. My mother-in-law falls in this category. Her favorite saying was, we have money because we don't spend money. And I think that works here. Something else interesting from the book, 90% of millionaires live in homes valued below $1 million. Being a millionaire doesn't mean that you live in $1 million crib. It doesn't mean that you are like trying to afford a lifestyle that you can't yet afford. But in fact, a third of them, 28% of them, live in homes valued at $300,000 or less. So when that study was produced, it was basically saying the millionaire is actually not trying to live this glitz and glamour lifestyle. This is actually a little crazy. I'm going to advance here. It says, if you really want to reduce your housing bill, join the 67,000 millionaires who live in a mobile home park. Are you kidding me? Millionaires living in a mobile home. Dude, that is how committed and dedicated they are to actually having money. And here's one of the reasons why they're doing it. You retire with $1 million, and if you're used to living on $50,000 a year, that's 20 years of living. So it's not a ton of money. It's certainly not what it used to be in like the 70s and 80s. Technically, I was born in 79, so I don't remember the 70s, but I can tell you that $1 million today has like become a super, super small figure. On average, millionaires have a mortgage that is less than 1/3 of the value of their home. So that means that on average, like if they have a $300,000 home, they only owe $100,000 on it. These people are good at paying off their houses. These people are good at accelerating their mortgages or staying long enough with them to actually keep them down. Fascinating habits. Last one, the market value of the home you purchase should be less than 3 times your household's total annual realized income. That means that if I take home $60,000 a year and I multiply that by 3, 180 grand, $180,000, he said, is the maximum you should be paying for a house. And the reason why he suggests that is because with that income, and if you buy that house, you should have enough money left over to not only reliably pay the mortgage, but accelerate it by paying it off quicker and faster and having extra money to save. The bottom line from Stanley's book, and I wanted to target real estate today because I feel like if you don't have a good real estate strategy, if you subscribe and are a member of this channel, I'm always giving you the ideas for how to become a multimillionaire. Not to be rich, not to live some crazy lifestyle, but so that you can actually live life free on your terms. Like, what is the biggest benefit that I have right now to being a multi-millionaire, increasing my net worth millions of dollars every year? Is it the really fantastic house that I live in? No, it's not. Is it the fact that I travel multiple times every month? This last year, I added several new countries to my bucket list. The fact that I'm gearing up for the Summer Olympics in Japan, and I'm paying, Jesus, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a ticket. We're doing several events, and I'm taking my whole family. Listen, this lifestyle, the cars, the fancy stuff, the nice restaurants, the Wagyu beef, while those things are all really, really nice, I think what really matters is what actually brings you joy and happiness. And I'll tell you what brings me my joy. It's freedom. Like just the fact that today I can make videos if I want, or if I want to shut this whole thing down and literally go live as a monk on a mountain, married monk, I could go and do that, right? So it's all about choices. That's all money is. It's about choices. And it's weird. We have so many posers today on social media, these influencers that are all about, look at my lifestyle, look at my nice car, and look at my nice stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, but what is really driving fulfillment and happiness is not what you own. It's the choices that you can make. And money is to support choices. And if you don't have the money to support the choices you want, then you're not really living free. This whole idea of should you own a home? Owning a home produces more freedom. And what I mean by more freedom, owning a home is probably one of the best assets that you'll actually ever own. It increases in value. If you own multiple homes, you can actually build a cash flow, and it certainly could be an incredible tool for financial freedom. But let's just transition for a moment, because some of you are like, okay, Kris, you convinced me, I'm gonna buy a house. Now I'm gonna reveal probably what your greatest regret is going to be if you just buy one. Do you know what this is? You remember when I was quoting the Census Bureau since 1963 to today, the fact that real estate is increasing between 4 and 5% every single year on average? I believe that when you get to your retirement age and you look at how much money you have, there's like a 90-something% chance that your biggest asset will not be your stock portfolio, it will not be your 401k, it'll be your house. Meaning you'll have accumulated more net worth by equity in your home than anything else. And in that moment, you might find yourself saying this, dude, if I could go back in time and just bought the house on the left and the right and owned all 3 of them, then instead of just having $250,000 of assets, I would have $750,000 of assets. Most people wish they could go back to that house that they made all that money on over time. They wish they could go back and own more of them, like 5, like 10. And then you could actually be a multimillionaire. I figured that out when I was 23 years old. And I hate the idea of regret. It's the thing I fear the most. I once had a professor tell me I don't have to stick my head in a garbage can to find out if it stinks. Like, I can know that right then and now. So I said, when I'm 23 and I had this information, I decided I don't want to own 1 home, I want to own 25. And by 26 years old, I owned 25 homes, and guess what? They created a 6-figure residual income I documented all of it in this book, Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. By the way, you can have a free copy of this showing you exactly in a short period of time how I became financially free with the principles that I'm sharing with you right now. You just got to pay the shipping on this, and then I give you the book for free. It's a gift. So when you click the link below, you can get that. And so if you really want to get serious about financial freedom, I would say don't just buy a home to live in. Go from the consumer to the investor mindset. And the investor is thinking, you know what? If I can control one asset producing 5% a year in growth, then why not 10? And you should pick a number that's comfortable with you, but don't get to the end of the road and regret. You're watching this video, which means you now possess knowledge that you didn't have before. Act on it, execute it. And if you want to know the best action you can take right now, if you like today's video, do me a favor. Smash that like button, give it a thumbs up. It certainly tells YouTube to share it. And in addition to that, subscribe and ring the bell. Every day I've got new videos coming out that are designed to give you this information. I wish you all the financial blessings and prosperity in the world so that you can live a free life, your dreams, your way.